All right, difficult subject, and we have to simplify it. And I'm going to try to simplify it and explain it more al-pi Chasidus and Pashtus. And it's going to fall in the words of the Pasuk, Bez Hashem. That's exactly the target here on the question we discussed actually this morning, you remember, after show. So I'm going to go over on the Pasuk, and we're going to start, really delving inside the Pasuk itself. Where is my share screen? We're just going to stay at the beginning of the Pasuk. Vaidaber Hashem al Moshe ve'el Aharon leimor. Interesting that Aaron is called in that mitzvah where he's going to be excluded. His son will take care. Elazar HaKohen will take care of the Paraduma. In that case, why is Aharon at all in the call here? He has nothing to say to anyone. Moshe Rabbeinu will talk to the Bnei Israel. In that case, why is Aharon here? Very strange. Aaron is only associated in mitzvahs where it's pertaining him, the Kohanim and him. Here, he has no business, apparently, in the Paraduma. We go on further. The pasuk says, "Zois chukas haTorah." We know that every time we use those words, it always mentions the mitzvah itself. He should have said "Zois chukas hapara," because there's different chukas in the Torah which are very similar. What's the special thing about Paraduma is what we call davar vehipucho. Something and its opposite. It's going to be metaher, the tmeim, and it's going to be metame, the tehoirim. And that's the spitz of the chukah. The Rekanati says everything else has a reason. Why it has to be temima, why it has to be, we're going to see in the pasuk every one of the features of the paraduma and understand them because they have a reason. Why is it burned? All of them, the Rekanati writes black on white. It has a reason. The part that is difficult is the part that how can something be metame and metaher at the same time, but opposite people? The truth is, you look at tzitzis, the mitzvah of tzitzis. The mitzvah of tzitzis is wool, right? The beged, the chatchila has to be wool. But if you want to put tzitzis of pishtim, of linen, are you allowed to? Yes. Shatnez, we're not allowed to do it. Oh, it doesn't matter. For the mitzvah of tzitzis is permitted. I'll give you another example. A brother's sister is an erva. It's also on a person. However, if chas v'shalom, the brother died without children, she is permitted. Something and its opposite. However, Rashi chooses on those words to say, oh, you know why it's called chukah here? Because if the Satan and the goyim tell you you're doing magic, tell them it's the chukah of the Torah. Really? Since when, number one, we care what the goyim say and what they think about our mitzvahs? Number two, why particularly this one, which is extremely rare, they would have any comment on it? Why wouldn't they comment on the tzitzis, which is an everyday mitzvah? Why would they comment on the tefillin, which is an everyday mitzvah and more visible? Why is Rashi and the Midrash say, no, chukas HaTorah, maybe the Satan? Oh, because the Satan comments on the mitzvahs? It's a news to me, this one. That's the only time you're going to find it in the Torah. So it's a very interesting point here. Asher, we keep on Asher Tziva Hashem Leimor. Again, Leimor. We just said it. And you're going to say Daber Ben Yisrael. When usually you say Leimor, it's right away starting, the pasuk starts saying right away the mitzvah, but you never have Leimor and Daber. And especially since you said Leimor, so why do you add me here another time Leimor? Ve'yikhu elecha. They have to take to you, not to anyone else. Oh, really? It has to be to Moshe Rabbeinu. So what happened with the other paradumas? There were 9 parasadumas done, it means including the one of Moshe Rabbeinu. So 8 others, Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't there. So how you make the mitzvah of V'yikhu elecha? They have to take it to you. Para Aduma has to be a red cow. Temima, we learn in the Gemara that it can't have 1 black hair, but it cannot have 2, because otherwise it's not Temima. What's the purpose? Let it have 10 black hair. Anything red calls upon the dinim. When we say dinim, we say gvuris, we say the other side, the tumedika side. So why do we care to bring them something nice, something complete? When do we have to do something complete and beautiful? It's to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we do the mitzvahs, they have to do in a fashion, in a manner that has to be presentable to the king, to a king. These are the mitzvahs on Erev Shabbos, because the queen of Shabbos will arrive. It says in Halacha, you have to prepare your house as if you would be receiving a melech basar vadam, meaning every dust, everything has to be, your house has to be set and proper as if you would receive. But for the other side, since when we have to care what we give to the other side? Don't we give to the other side? We learned in Parasha Shmini. Remember when we learned the Parasha of Gilgulim about the meat, la kelev tashlichun oiso, the nevela, novel, disgusting. What do we do with the disgusting meat? We throw it to the kelev. We saw the kelev was there, not that kelev, the dogs. It was that dog, the fire. Remember, the fire of the Mizbeach had 2 shapes. It had the shape of a lion. When the carbon was accepted, it was coming down from Shamayim, and with the shape of a raging lion jumping on the carbon and burning it instantly. It wouldn't take time, because we were putting water, we were putting what? No, instantly it was burnt and turned into ashes. However, when a korban was not accepted, there was a hole done by the Mizbeach that the fire was coming through it, and it had the shape of a dog. Because the other side is compared to a dog. So since when we have to really be, how careful we have to be about what we give them, that it has to be exact and proper. So temima means perfect. Then the pasuk comes and say asher en bamum. Well, I'm sorry. You already said it has to be perfect. And perfect means not even 2 black hair. What do you come to add me here that it has no defect? For sure. Tamim, when a korban had to be tamim, means without any blemish. So why do you add me that has no defects? If it's tamim, for sure it has no defect. Asher loy ola oleha oy. That had no weight or has been put upon it. First of all, grammatically, you already said asher here, and bamum, and add me. What is this asher coming to do? A repetition again, grammatically, that not necessary here. And what defect is it if the para Aduma is red, representing the dinim, being offered to the other side, and therefore it was not done in the Beis Hamikdash or in the Mishkan, but michutz lamachane. I'm coming to that point in a second. I know I'm giving you a lot of information here, but I just want to set up the perimeter. It's a difficult subject, and I'm going to simplify it to a point everyone will understand. So what is derogatory about, let's say you put even the reins on its back, it's possible. Why would it be possible? Since when, in which mitzvah, even to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, have we seen such a stringency? So why for the other side are we being so stringent? So you give it to the Sgan of the Kohen Gadol, the second in command, which is Elazar Kohen, he has to take it outside of the Machane, where the Metzora used to be. Why? What is Michutz LaMachane? The Shadim, the Mazikim, where the Metzora had a bad mouth, he wanted to badmouth his friend and put him outside the Machane. He goes outside the Machane. That's what we have learned there in the Zohar. So here, what do we take? I don't understand. If the para Aduma is Kadosh, it's so holy, it's got to be done in the Beis Hamikdash like any other korban that is also to do out of the Beis Hamikdash. If the korban, the para Aduma is choil, then how can it be Mekadesh? How can it be Metaher? It has no koyach in it. And the pasuk says, watch out, Veshochat Uisa Lefanov. And it has to be, it's not the Kohen that's going to shecht. The Elazar HaKohen, no. He cannot shecht it. He has another job. He has to supervise. He is the mashgiach there. Let me ask you a global question. When was the para Aduma done in the Midbar? By the time, right after the Mishkan was erected, meaning the second year. We are holding in Parashas Chukas in the 40th year, the year where Miriam, Aaron, and Moshe will go. Why Dafka in this Parasha, the Torah has decided to mention the para Aduma? It's already a complicated subject, this para Aduma. But why Bedafka in this Parasha did it mention it? Why? Could he mention?
Klal Yisrael needed it.
Sorry?
Klal Yisrael needed it. Look what was going to happen that year.
Oh, do you think they didn't need it in the past 38 years? They used it.
They still had Moshe and Rivka and had all the, we had the Be'er, you had the Ananei cover, they had all that stuff.
I hear, Jeff, I hear kvetch. I don't hear an answer.
Okay.
But I'll tell you something. What is the para Aduma purpose? Someone is Tamim Meis, which is Avi Avois Hatuma. He has reached the higher level of the tumor. Do you remember what we have learned from the Ari HaKodesh in Parshas Metzora? What happened to the Metzora? He became a complete Chefza de Isura, meaning a person is composed the same way up there. There are 10 spheres. A person has 10 spheres. Instead of having some Gdusha inside him, he has nothing. He is a creature of the darkness. He's no longer a creature of the Kedusha. He's a creature of the Choshech. He's not anymore in the light. So when a person becomes Tamim Meis, automatically he jumps to the other side. And in order to bring him back to the side of the light, we need such a tremendous avodah of the Efer HaPara to spray at him the ashes of the Para Aduma. Think a second. They buried other 15,045 people were dying every Tisha B'Av in the Midbar. No one else during the year. No one else. Because they were above. I don't want to go into Pascha or Hamasan. You remember from that when they went to Har Sinai, they overpowered. So as long as Moshe Rabbeinu and everything, Malach HaMaves would not approach. But those door of the Meraglim had to die. Okay, so you had 15,000. We had the use of the Efer Paraduma, 38 years. You didn't have to mention it now. You could have told me that mitzvah way earlier. You didn't have to wait so far. I want to turn the table around on the Torah. And I want to blast a question that took me a long time to answer. I looked at so many Sfarim. I, Shimon Friedman, live in Miami. I have no Para Aduma. I did go, yes. I did help, wash sometimes, the mace. Obviously, we are all amazing. That's the reason we are not allowed to use the shemus of Kabbalah Maisis anymore, because they go to the other side. The fact that we have such a high level of Tuma, we're not allowed to use to word the names through our mouth of Malachim, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We cannot say them because it would empower the other side. In other words, we are connected to the other side because of our Tuma. Since Rebbe died, the Mishnah in Parasha says, since Rebbe died, there's no more Paraduma. So since then, we are Temei Mesim. We have the Tuma, the highest level of Tuma. In that case, a person who does Aveira, how can you blame him? Hey, you know why I did this Aveira? It's because I'm connected to the Tuma. We are Avi Avos Hatuma, the highest level of Tuma, which is the side of the Satan. So if I'm there already, how can you blame me? How can you blame me to be tempted to be worldly? How can you blame me to not be doing the mitzvahs willingly? Why? The Satan wants the power of darkness. Want to do the mitzvahs? They like the light? No, they like rats. They live in the darkness. So why should I be any different? I have a reason to my shortcomings. Let's go give a few data and then really go back to the pshat inside the pasuk and explain it in a way that you're going to see light in everything. Everything will fall back in place. The Zohar says in this in Parshas Pikudei, actually, most of the Zohar on the Para Aduma is not in Parshas Chukas, is in Parshas Pikudei, interestingly. Anyway, that the reason it had to be burnt all the way to ashes, it's because in order to remove the tumah, you cannot leave anything but ashes or dust. In other words, anything that still is not ashes, he says, like the Reshaim in Gehinnom. What happened to them in Gehinnom? In order to remove the bad that they have in them, they have to be turned into dust. And that dust is then thrown under the palms of the tzaddikim, and they walk on it, and it's a schus for the Reshaim. And since then, and from there, there's a rebuilding of the person. With the schusim that he's getting like this, now a person will re-emerge, but this person will be tahor. Okay. So now I have a red cow. By the way, you know that scientifically the red cow is the closest to the DNA of the snake, right? The red cow is the only.
That?
Huh?
How's that?
The red cow has 35% of the DNA of a snake. A scientist told me, I was just telling him one time, I was on I don't know where I was. I think I was on a plane, and okay, he wanted to open a discussion, and we started talking, and somehow I arrived to the Adouma to explain the godless of the Torah, how everything falls in place, but to the scientifically almost. He told me, it's interesting you're telling me this. I'm a scientist in DNA, and let me tell you something. The cow is the animal that is the closest to the snake, and the closest to the snake of all animals is the red cow. I really got a punch in the stomach. And he says, I'll send you a scientific document, and he sent it to me, that the Adouma has 35% of the DNA of the snake. Just a parenthesis. Not that we care about what they say. The Torah already has everything covered. No matter which side you take the Ramban, you take the Rabbeinu Bachye, he'll tell you this. You take the Rekanati, you take Rabbi Avram Palaji, you take the Tzor Amoyer. For them, it's an open highway. They all knew about it. So let me try to have an understanding. The Rechaim HaKodesh says, do you know how red it has to be? Okay, obviously we learned from the Gemara that Temima cannot have more than two black hair. Rechaim HaKodesh adds, number two, the second Rechaim HaKodesh on the Parasha, that even the horns and the hooves have to be red. If they're black, gone. If they're white, bad. It's not a Adouma. Interestingly, we're talking about something that reminds us of Esau. Kulo Admoini, he was red.
David
red. Who?
David HaMelech.
David HaMelech. That's why that's why the Midrash says Shmuel was scared to own David HaMelech because he was red and he was scared he would kill people. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Midrash says, told Shmuel, don't worry, he will kill only Reshaim and not the Tzaddikim. Okay, good point. Good point. But here we have an animal that's totally red and reminds us really of the koyach of the Satan.
Not the koyach of Esav?
No, Esav is the Satan. The Satan Esav was only a levush. It was a cloth for the Satan, but the Satan when he's inhabiting Esav totally. So let's go a little bit and play with the numbers. Shlomo HaMelech tried to said, you know something? He tried to understand. In Koheles it says this pasuk, Omarti, ech kama, I'll be intelligent. I'll have chokhmah. Vehi rechoika mimeni. And everyone brings this pasuk to explain that Shlomo HaMelech tried to understand the mitzvah of Adouma, and he fell. He was too far away. Only to Moshe Rabbeinu was disclosed the side of Adouma, and to no one else. And even Shlomo HaMelech, which had tremendous intelligence, could not understand. If you take Vehi Rechoika you know, the Midrash brings that pasuk, the Rishonim, the whatever, whichever side you're taking, even in the pshat, in the soid, they all bring that pasuk. Look, what is it? Vehi rechoika equals 341. What do you think it's equal to here? Make a guess. Don't be so silent. Give me a guess. Go ahead, Jeff. Jump in the pool.
Para Aduma, I don't know.
Very good. First guess, Para Aduma. You see now why all the Mefarshim say this pasuk talks about Para Aduma and it's not mentioned? Because Vehi Rechoika Shlomo HaMelech is merames in the words that equals Para Aduma, period. What did we say the Kohen had to do? It says Veshochat Oisa Lefanov.
Supervise.
Supervise. But who is Lefanov here?
Lazar Cohen, no?
What about the Satan?
It's not a Lazar?
No. Unsatem Oisa El Elazar HaKohen. You'll give it, so you have to hand it to Elazar HaKohen. You remember those bridges they did from the Beis Hamikdash all the way to Har HaZeisim, so there's no tumor boikas and everything to take the Para Aduma from the Beis Hamikdash all the way to the place across from the Kodesh HaKodashim where they would shecht it. And then Veshochat Oisa Lefanav. So all he had to do, he had a kavana. I said supervise. Says Rabbeinu Bachye that Elazar HaKohen had to make sure that people don't have the wrong kavana when they do the avodah of the Para Aduma. You can guess when I think. You can guess what I have in my mind. No. This is one of the 7 things the Mishnah says that a person, it's in Paseches Derech Eretz, I think it's Perek Hey, that a person cannot guess what's in the mind of his friend. Do you remember what it says in Parshas Bamidbar? Pigulhu lo yiratze. If the Kohen had in mind the wrong kavana, meaning he wanted to shecht it, but not to offer it or not to eat it within its time frame, it becomes pasul. But how would you know? How would you know? So how does Elazar
say?
Huh?
The Kohen would have to say it.
No, so you don't know. In the Mizbeach, there was a way to know. It would be which
wouldn't accept it.
Which fire came out. That's right. If the fire came from the bottom in the shape of a dog, and the person knew that he made a true tshuva, he would blame the Kohen. But here, how does Elazar HaKohen know? We don't have a fire coming from Shamayim. How would he know? That's why. Let me show you this pasuk. This is a new one for you, but you have to learn that name. First pasuk of the Torah. Bereshis bara Eloikim es hashamayim ve'es haaretz. The Midrash, the Zohar say, how did HaKadosh Baruch Hu create the worlds? Allah b'machshavtoi. He thought about it. He didn't say anything. Just the fact that it was as a thought into HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol's head, it was enough to create every single detail in the world. If you take the first letters, Es Hashamayim ve'es Haaretz, you're getting Aleph, Hey, Vav, Hey. The Ari HaKadosh says in Parshas Bereshis, this is the name. You remember here, we have the Keser Shem Keye, Keye Asher Keye, Keser Bina. There's a Keye here, Keye in Bina. Keye Asher Keye, when Bnei Yisrael came out of Mitzrayim. Yudke Vavke in the Chochma. Or in this part, I'm missing the Das, which is hidden because it's behind them. Das is here. Das is a bridge between Chochma, goodness, only goodness, and Bina, the Gvura, the Din. So it's Rachamim. It's a balance. When to be good and when to know how to apply the Din. This is Das. And in the Das, the name is Aleph K Vav K. I'll come back to that name many times. And when I'm teaching it, we'll come back to it. You're going to see how many things are done with it. When your fingers move and it says nothing happens in down here without saying up there, it's through this name. And he does the Hazar, the Kohen on the thing. I didn't want to go into it, and I'm not going to go deep into it. I'm just going to tell you. The Kohen takes on his finger and he sprays. It's this name. So there's a lot of things surrounding this name that have been done, and bit by bit will prove. Now, so this is what he had in mind. Before I go into this, you remember the word of the Baal Shem? If you put in your head good, tov, everything will be good. This is one of the biggest yesodas of the Baal Shem. What the Baal Shem is saying, if you put this name in your head, everything turns out good. Aleph, Hey, Vav, Hey, which equals 17, which equals Tov. Everything changes. What do we say in Yoshev B'Seiser? Rak be'necha sabit v'shilumas reshaim tirei. You only have to see with your eyes and you will see the end of reshaim. How does this happen? Once you have this name in your head, you know, goyim are harming you, whatever, you see this name in your head, you can decimate them. The armies of Hashem are coming out with this name. So now the Kohen, Elazar, had to have this name in the head to overpower any intention of those doing the shchita and the preparation of the Para Aduma. Now we said Para Aduma equals 341. We said this one is 17. So 341 plus 17 equals 358. What is 358? Nachash. It's the Nachash. It's the Nachash that's by the Para Aduma. And it's done before him. And he's going to swallow everything from the Para Aduma. It's only for him. Why did I write Mashiach? Because these are also exactly like the Para Aduma, opposite. When the Nachash, when the Nachash is in place, then there's no Mashiach. But there's going to be Mashiach, there's going to be no Nachash. Just for the sake of it. So, what is the Para Aduma? Coming to save us from? If you look, everyone in the Mefarshim says Aduma Temima. It has to be red and perfect. Take them both together. Aduma Temima equals 545. Kina, Sina, Kavod. Exactly the same amount. Let me explain you this a second. The big question, the philosophical question behind Para Aduma is, what is he coming to achieve? Is he coming to erase an outcome? Or is he coming to uproot a reason? In other words, someone did the chet. Okay, I'm going to erase the chet. But the person has rotten midas. So he's going to be a non-ending customer of the Para Aduma because he keeps on doing it. by the Avodah Zarah, it says you have to uproot it. So what is the Para Aduma doing? The person has a bad midah. I understand. We're going to offer the Para Aduma to the Nachash. What else are we going to give back to the Nachash? That's the question. Because we have to uproot the nature of a person. Let's go back to this and you will understand. So Aduma Temima, the features of the Para Aduma are equal as exactly against the very root of every chet in a person. Any chet a person does is one of these three reasons. There's no other reason in this world. But interestingly, equals Aaron and Miriam, the two that are going to die in this Parasha. What's the connection? We asked before, why is Para Aduma said in the Parasha where Aaron and Miriam are going to die? Now, all of a sudden, we see that the very feature that the Para Aduma has are the features of Aaron and Miriam. Okay? You know, I'm not going to take any conclusion based on this, and I don't consider this an answer neither, but I do see a beginning of something. And then you see that it equals Aleph Lamed, these two letters in full. Aleph Lamed is the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is in the Chesed, the name Kel. The name Kel, now things are falling into place. We saw in Parashas Emor that the Kohen Gadol is Kodesh. Remember those words. Kodesh. Kodesh is in the Chochmah. Under him are the Kohanim. In the Chesed, Kadosh. Where is the Shem Kel? In the Chesed. Who's uprooting all the bad midas? So we asked a philosophical question before and we have now the answer. So it's appealing one of the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the fact it's Aduma and Temima, it's appealing what the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is in the Chesed, in order to uproot the reason a person sins. Kina, Sina, Kavod. What was Aaron? Oihev Shalom Veroidev Shalom. You remember what we said last week about the kavanos of the Baal Shem? Oihev is the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Just if I want to push a little bit further, we say on Yom Kippur in Musaf, all the avodah of the Kohen Gadol. Veha-kohanim, veha-am, ha-yeshubim, v'azara, keshaya Kohen Gadol. He would arrive, the Kohen Gadol, ayikorim, u'mishtachvim, u'moidim, and the Kohen Gadol at that time used to say the Shema Mefoirash, and all the Bnei Yisrael were answering, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusoi Le'olam Bo'ed. Ah. If I ask you the gematria of Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusoi Le'olam Bo'ed, do you remember?
No.
Remember we did on Purim? Well, it's okay. Okay. These are all the shemis of Hashem. So what was he saying? The Kohen Gadol, Shem HaMefoirash. Shem HaMefoirash seems very mystical. But you know, I like to uncover things, and if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah, it's to know. We can't be ignorant. Oh, it's Shem HaMefoirash. We're scared. It's mystical. There's nothing mystical. Mystical is in your head, not in the Torah. In the Torah, everything is open. It's a platter. It's a Shulchan Aruch. Just come and eat. So what he's saying, says Reb Shapsai B'Shem the Baal Shem, Ahava. That's all he says. This is the Shema Mefoirash. Love.
I have.
Oichaza Besansinov, the Tamar, the Esrog Lulav Arava Hadas of last week. Yes, the Kavanas of the Lulav. These are the Kavanas of Yom Kippur. Now you understand why Yom Kippur Sukkot follows right away Yom Kippur and why it's Oihev Ahava. So now, because Aaron with his midah was uprooting by himself the midas, he didn't need the para Aduma. That's why he was not part of it. He did not need it. He was uprooting it. And Aaron and Miriam together had the power against those three klippas, which if you know a little bit of a tikkunim, you know, not that I don't want to go there, but I just want to mention this for you to know that they are in the fifth chamber of the Tuma, and they are the hardest. They belong, these are the tools of the Malach HaMaves. These are the meaning when I say these are the tools, he baits people with this and bring them all the way to death. That's why they are part of the Malach HaMaves. I don't want to go into these gematrias because it's not for here. However, it is extremely serious, these three things, and a person should run away from them as Aaron and Miriam did. That's why once Aaron and Miriam died, what it says in the pasuk right after, Vayishma HaKenaani, the Kenaani heard. Rashi asked, Ma'eshmu Shama, what did he hear? He heard that Aaron died and there's no more Ananim. Wow. Look at this pasuk. It's not going to tell us the name of the guy. He's going to tell us Hakenani, the Canaanian. Which one? There were many of them. Oh, no. It's Melech Arad, the Melech of the city of Arad. You know where Arad is? I don't know where Arad is. It doesn't help me, Melech Arad here. Yoshev HaNegev. Soon they're going to give me a map of Eretz Yisrael, and I'm going to need ways to find the place there. But it's going to give me all these details, but it's not going to give me his name. Kiva Yisrael. The Yisrael came. Derech Ho'asarim. You remember that Midbar, you'd already know me by now. I tell you, there are so many derech, the Torah calls in the Midbar, that I tell you all the time, we need the ways. It's midbar this, derech this, derech hayam, derech hamidbar, derech. Mamish, you need the ways in this Midbar. What he means, derech ha'asarim. Interesting word. I wouldn't even know how to translate it. Asar is a mockery. So I don't even know what it means. Vailochem be'Yisrael. So just for you to know the story, Rashi brings from the Midrash, is the Amalekim dressed up as Kenanim. So Bnei Yisrael will pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, save us from the Kenanim, but the Amalekim, so that tefillah won't be accepted, they will be able to win. But they made a mistake because Bnei Yisrael couldn't understand. They were not talking like Kenanim, but they were dressed like them. So they prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, save us from these people. So the Midrash says they won, but the pasuk says they didn't win. Interesting, right? Vayilachem be'Yisrael, they fought with Israel, vayish mimenu shevi, and they took hostages or prisoners from them. What's going on here? I'm starting understanding something. I'm having another stumble block. Like we cannot see anything clear. Let me give you a simple mahalach in this parsha, and you will understand, and all these questions will disappear as if just like smoke in the wind. What do we call it? Again, this animal, a para Aduma. What are we gonna do with the para Aduma? Efer.
Burn it.
Right?
You burn it.
You burn it. What does Zohar say we do? Let me show it to you. I think writing will be easier. Look, para. I'm just gonna play with colors. Zohar say just like let me try to put some more here. Efer. Honestly, what's going on here? You had to take the para, make it Efer and Ofar, and then you get a kapara. Par. Now, I always have one letter different. Here I have a hey with a par. Here I have an aleph with a par. Here I have an ayin with a par. Here I have a chaf with a par. But essentially, it's the same root. I haven't changed the par. Correct? This is the whole para Aduma. In these 4 words, nothing else. The para is read, turned into Efer and Afar, and then person gets the kapara. That's it. Nothing more. What's the side behind all this? It says in Parashas Akev, Ve'amata bilvavecha, and you will say in your heart. You won't say it in public. You're not going to come to shul and show off. You will say in your heart, Koichi ve'oitzem yadi, my strength and my might, asuli esachai lazeh. They did me whatever I have today. It's because I'm a smart guy. I knew the investment. I played the roulette, and he fell on number 20. I put on number 20 afterward, and boom, number 20 falls again. You're smart? No, you're not smart. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now, Koyach is 28. Once a person believes, once it's in within your heart, you said this to yourself, shows that you really believe in it. Believing into something like bitachin HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the other side, it means with your 10 features, the 10 spheres. 10 times koyach equals to what? Koyach is 28, 10 times 280. 280 equals par. Reshpei. Oh, here is the parachatos. And the Kohen Gadol had to bring a par, and a par, and a par, and a par, all of a par. Par means there is an inner, meaning a merida, reneging from the inside with the person with the machshava, reneging the malchus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chas v'shalom. It's not an aveira that's done as a maise on the outside. Oh, Shabbos, by mistake, I turn on the light. Not me, whatever. Someone turn on the light. Okay? That's with that intention. Merida, it's a pesha. It's intentional. The guy that came out on Shabbos to go look, the Dasan Vaviram that we learned last week, that went out on Shabbos to look for the man, that was intentional. That's being moired in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When a person has within him anchored the fact that he made his own fortune, he's a smart guy. That's the par. These are the dinim, the 280 dinim that befalls a person. They will run after him and make him a miserable life. Now, once we turn the par with the esh, which is the Torah, which is the Kedusha, which is the esh, that's the esh we burn the para with, it's becoming afer. What is Aleph Peresh? The Pasuk in Yechezkel says, Adam Atem, you are called Adam. Bnei Israel are called Adam. Amar Hashem Yochai, that Atem Krim Adam, ve'enehem Krim Adam. A Jew is called the Adam, but the Goyim are not called Adam. Why? What's the side in this? A person has a father and a mother. Av, Aim. Av, Aim equals 44. Dam. Now you have blood. The parents give blood. But the Gemara says, Shloisha shutfim be'adam. Gemara nida, lamed aleph amud aleph. Shloisha shutfim be'adam. Aviv imoy in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the aleph from Ekeye. Aleph and Dam, Adam. Aleph from Keye and Par, Efer. This is the draw that the Adouma is going to do to change from Par, the dinim, because the person was Hori and Bar Kovid, bringing from the Kesed, the Aleph, exactly like to a human, again, renew that, and it will become Efer. If a person sinned even more, because you have 4 letters in Yud, Ke, Vav, Ke. If you sin keneged the 4, it has to be Afar. Ayin is what? 70. How many times 70 into 80? 4. So we always coming around this 280. And what is the kaper? Kaper is how many times 20 into 80? 14. 14. 2 times 14 equals 28. So 14 is the number. The 7 spheres down and the 7 spheres up equals 14. Once inside the person, you uproot it, you still have a job to do to clean up the mess he has done in the Malchus. By the way, why we say Malchus? Because Temima equals Malchus. So we talking, all this purpose here is the sins that Bnei Israel have done toward the Malchus, the Malka, the queen, Shabbos Malkisa, the queen of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We said last week, there's no Melech without Malka. So when you offend the Malka, you offend the Melech. So you have to clean the person, to uproot from him, down here, the bad midas, and the Adouma had this power. Not only to clean up the mess, but also to clean up in Shamayim the what do you call? I want to say the deficiency or the destruction or that has been done in there. Now, if I go back and I take, like in the pasuk we said, and I'm answering everything, I'm almost done. Yes, it's very, very simple at this point. I'm going back to the pasuk. I take para Aduma, but this time without a vav, the way it's written in the Torah. So before, with the vav, here I should have written, it's written complete with the vav. So without a vav, 341 minus 6 equals minus 5, 336. Para Aduma equals exactly the words Aharon HaKohen. We asked the question, why was Aaron there? Because Aaron had to instill his power. It could not be a Para Aduma without the power of Aharon, of Ohev and Ahava in order to uproot. So the one who are giving power to the Para Aduma is just a red animal. It has nothing. But the mystical and the spiritual power come from Moshe and Aaron. That's the reason there was no Para Aduma later on done, if that was valid, unless they put a little bit of the ashes of the Para Aduma that Moshe and Aaron did. In other words, there was never a Para Aduma, ever, that could be done without the work or the Para Aduma of Moshe and Aaron. That was the only Para Aduma. All the rest were ashes, and they would put a few, the sprinkles of the affair of the Para Aduma of Moshe and Aaron. And now we understand why. Because normally a korban comes to erase a sin. The korban never comes to uproot a midah, a feature, an attribute in the person. But the Para Aduma does. How is it doing it? Because Para Aduma equals Aaron HaKohen. And Moshe had to put himself also in the Para Aduma. Now we're going to see that Temima is the Malchus, it's the Shechina. Now you take Moshe Aaron, it's the Shechina also. We see the two worlds coming at one right now through Moshe and Aaron. Moshe and Aaron are this glue that they have taken forever. They have glued whenever we have a breach, whenever we want to go to the upper world and access it, it's always through Moshe and Aaron. And we're going to find them, Remazim, I could say till tomorrow morning, how you going to find the Rashi Tevis, of Moshe or Aharon in the psukim here. Why didn't he have En Ba Mum? Because the purpose of the Para Aduma, the Zohar, we learned it in Parshas Metzora, that the Zohar says, someone who says Chman Islam Nashon Hara, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, there is no tshuva for him, I will not forgive him. However, Kadosh Baruch Hu does in the fact that this person becomes Tameh Meis, he contracts the tumor of Meis, he has to go to the Para Aduma, and the Para Aduma is Mechaper al Nashon Hara. That's the reason it had to be without blemish, because it in order to give it tremendous power. If you take Asher En Ba Mum, 356, exactly like Lashon Ra. So this proves that the Para Aduma had the koyach not only like a doctor, to cure the symptoms, he would cure the cause. And that's the chiddush. How this happens, this Moshe Rabbeinu knows. We don't know. But at least this is what... So
Why Michutz Lamachane?
Because Michutz Lamachane, this is where they're at. And before I answer that, I just want to give you a blast here. Vaishma Kenani, what did he hear? He says, Shmuel, there's no Anani. There's no more, when you take Afar and Afer together, equals Vaishma Kenani. That's why the Torah said it in a way that's mind-boggling, because the Torah wants to point you, go look at the remez here, because there is something. The Torah doesn't speak in the normal language, giving you the name. No, because I'm going to tell you what was in his mind. That he thought that they had no more Moshe and Aaron. The 2 meters of Afar and Afer were not there. That's it. I can go. I have a free path. I can fight them. And the midah of Aaron, which is Afar and Ahava, it's Melech Aaron. But I want to give you a better one, which is, you know what's Vayishma? Vayishma equals exactly 436, exactly like Tziporen, like les ongles, nails, okay? Exactly like nails. You know what? The Kosnos Oyer, he had a cloth of, you know, basically I'm finished on Adouma. I just want to give you here an insight because it's mentioned in the Parasha here. So Vayishma 436, Kosnos, the Tziporen. The Tziporen, the Midrash says that Adam and Chava were covered with the cloth of Tziporen, of nail, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order to remind us this, what we had at that time, we only left with a little bit at the end of the fingers. That's why the Chitzonim are attaching themselves at the end of the fingers. That's why we wash our hands, because there's Kedusha coming here, and their life is by taking Kedusha away from us. Anyway, the point I want to make in this, what do we do with these nails? One time we use them a week. In the Ner, on Motzei Shabbos, we look at them. What do? The Kavana, to remember when we were in Gan Eden, we had Tziporen. Oh, really? I thought we had Kosmos Oyer of light. You know, that we were full like an alligator or a snake, you know, that has the same material, I don't know how to call it in English, but of nails, that doesn't, it's of no greatness, basically, in Kutchery. It's an insult. So why Tziporen? And why do I look at it on Motzei Shabbos at the light? If you take all the names of Hashem coming down on the 10 spheres, Kehye, Aleph, He, Yud, Ke, Yud, Ke, Vav, Ke, Aleph, He, Yud, He, Aleph, He, Vav, He, the name we just learned today, Shakai, Shin, Dalet, Yud, Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud, equals 436. In other words, Tziporen is only a gematria. We were never covered with nails. We were covered with the same number, with the names of Hashem, the light, the chashmal, the levush. That was the levush in Gan Eden. That's why we look at it, not to look that we had exactly this. No, we had what represented this. And that's what we have to seek, that we have to return to that time where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is his names. Like the Midrash says, Hashem is the only Melech that puts his people inside and he's watching on the outside. Any other Melech, he's inside and the others are on the outside keeping it. Baruch Adonai Elohim, Amen v'Amen.